All right. This is a new era for masterclasses with the Fat Doctor, and by new era I mean I have now purchased myself a course platform, and so from now onwards I'll be doing masterclasses on there. That's pretty much all that's new, but I'm very excited to do this month's masterclass. We didn't have one last month, so September's one is entitled "Why Am I Tired All the Time?" And I'm doing this masterclass because I personally am tired all the time. And I keep asking myself this question: why am I tired all the time? Why am I tired all the time? And I don't think I'm alone. I don't. I think that I am in good company when it comes to fatigue. I guess the medical term for tiredness. So this month's masterclass is all about that. There are so many reasons why we could be tired all the time, and I'm going to try and include all of them, or sort of hold space for all of them in this month's masterclass, which is quite it's quite a challenge, but I'm up for it. I definitely am. And so here's a brief introduction, I guess, just so that I can cover the bases, and then you can come along to the masterclass and get the full experience, as it were. So look, there are many reasons why we can be tired all the time. The first and most obvious one is, are you getting enough sleep? And lots of people struggle with insomnia, not being able to switch off at night, and therefore lying in bed for hours and not being able to get to sleep. Or maybe you do get to sleep and then you wake up and then you can't get back to sleep, and then you're looking at the clock and that's a nightmare. So insomnia is a very common thing. I think it's becoming worse and worse as society gets harder and harder. I've just realised I didn't turn my phone off before I start this, and it would just be my luck if someone tried to contact me. So very professionally here, without pressing pause, just turned on silent. Okay, so being woken up in the middle of the night, that's another reason. If you've got kids or other reasons, that's not fun either. Another reason why you're not getting enough sleep is bad, and you will notice this if you do get a good night's sleep. You get your full 8 hours, but you wake up and you think, like, it feels like I've only had 2. It could be because you have obstructive sleep apnea, and this is much more common than people think, and so you're never actually managing to get into kind of that deep restful sleep because the sleep apnea, the snoring, the choking wakes you up. And for a long time, this was a very stigmatized condition. It only happens to fat people. Nonsense. It's got nothing to do with being fat. It's actually got to do with your soft palate. It's not your fault if you have a faulty soft palate. Like, let's not blame you for that. So yeah, really important that, especially if you're getting sleep apnea, that you get that diagnosed. So that was sleep. There's loads more reasons why you could be feeling tired all the time. I've written down physical reasons, and so there are so many of them. Anemia is a common one. It could be because you're iron deficient or B12 deficient or folic acid deficient, or another reason could be your hormones. Hormones, bane of my life. Don't know about you, but I could do without hormones. And when I talk about the hormones, I'm actually talking about all the different ones. It could be a thyroid hormone. If you've got an imbalance there, that can make you feel fatigued. Could be to do with insulin. So insulin resistance and diabetes can make you feel fatigued. And if you don't know why, I actually have an entire course on insulin resistance and why it makes you feel tired. So maybe take a look at that later. It's on the same course platform. Menopause, pregnancy, hormones. Perimenopause is a very common reason why people are fatigued. It's certainly one that's impacting me at the moment, and that's due to an imbalance of estrogen and progesterone. Other hormones. Stress hormones. Cortisol. That'll make you tired. That'll do it. So hormones, an imbalance of hormones, that's often a problem. And I should point out that oftentimes we're not just tired for one reason. There are multiple reasons why we're feeling tired all the time. So hormones could be one of them. And then whilst we're at it, what about the rest of your organs? How's your lungs? How's your heart? How's your kidneys, etc., etc.? How's your liver? Because, if they're not working properly, then that will make you feel tired. Medications. Doctors do love to prescribe medications that make people tired and then go, I don't know why you're tired. It's kind of top of the list of side effects from my medication, doc. So it could be medications. Could be a combination of medications. Medications. You need them, but also they cause side effects. And those were the physical ones that I come up with, and this is not an exhaustive list, there's more, but you have to stop somewhere. Then there are the mental ones. And stress, I mentioned that to do with your hormones, but stress also is having an impact on you mentally. It can make you feel fatigued because you are overwhelmed. Also, trauma can make you feel overwhelmed, and there are people who have experienced a lot of trauma in their childhood. There are people with undiagnosed complex PTSD. There are people who are working through all of this stuff. Maybe you're one of those people. You're like me, you're in therapy and you're doing all the right things, but it's still exhausting, right? Especially if there's something that's triggering you at the moment. Maybe it's the time of the year, maybe it's something has happened and it's brought it all up. So if you're going through a difficult time, look, if you're grieving, if a relationship is ending, there's so many different reasons that could just be overwhelming you. Also, you might be neurodivergent. Have I mentioned that? I absolutely was adamant that I wasn't. I'm not neurodivergent. No, I have all the symptoms, but I'm not neurodivergent. I can explain why I have all the symptoms of autism, all the features of autism. It's because of my childhood, it's because of this, it's because of that, and it may well be, but who cares? I have all the features of autism. So maybe I'm neurodivergent. And if you're sitting there thinking, I've watched a few TikTok videos, but I don't want to be the one that jumps on the bandwagon, please. Don't let TikTok stop you from claiming a diagnosis that is yours, especially if you are female, you are conditioned as a woman, because we are often underdiagnosed, right? It's far less diagnosed in women and people who are conditioned as women are taught at a very young age to mask their symptoms. So could you just be neurodivergent? Could that be the reason that you're feeling exhausted all the time? And the beautiful thing about embracing that sort of diagnosis or identity, or however you want, I prefer the term identity. The beautiful thing about embracing that identity is that you begin to understand yourself better, and when you understand yourself better, you can give yourself a bit of a break, and you realise, oh, there's a reason I'm struggling to do this. If you've got ADHD, if you've got autism, if you've got both, there's a reason, and that can be very helpful. So got a bit lost there. It's not my fault. I'm neurodivergent. Emotions, slightly. I think emotional and mental health are two different things. Personally, emotional for me implies it's more of a kind of like an energy and a spiritual and a kind of like feelings. Mental for me is more like the overwhelm in your brain. That's how I separate it in my head. I'm not suggesting that's correct. You might put them all together. But when I talk about emotional health, I'm talking about depression. I'm talking about anxiety. Again, remember, people who are neurodivergent are often diagnosed with depression and anxiety, misdiagnosed, I should say, especially if you are misdiagnosed from a very early age, or if you look back and you go, I've always been a bit depressed, or I've always been a bit anxious. Again, that could be because you're neurodivergent. Moving on, lifestyle. Now, when you look up fatigue, certainly on the NHS website, and I imagine it's the same everywhere, I imagine on the NIH website, and whichever country you live in, look up fatigue. They're going to mention lifestyle right at the beginning. Bad lifestyle. Oh, we do love to lecture people about lifestyle, don't we? And in this case, diet obviously is coming into it, but it's also screen time, and it's also my favourite is you're working too hard. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Of course I'm working too hard. Have you seen the state of the world recently? If I don't work, I don't have a place to live. I don't have shelter or food or water, cost of living, etc., etc. So lifestyle it's we love to blame the individual, but actually we live in a world that makes it very difficult for us to rest. And if you're not resting enough, you will be tired. And I guess it's not that easy to fix that. Although I certainly, right now, over the month of August, have been doing this fantastic course where I am learning to rest in the midst of the chaos. So there is something to be said about acknowledging that you need more rest and finding ways to get rest, even in the world that we're living in. But I know it's not easy. Also, are you eating enough? If you're tired, you might just not be eating enough. That's a quick fix, isn't it? Just eat more. Also, are you drinking enough? Also, quick fix, drink more. By drink, I mean like fluids. I don't mean alcohol. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol, or you're taking recreational drugs, or you're doing, you're gambling, or perhaps you're struggling with addiction, that may well be causing fatigue as well. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. Again, enough with the judgy, hey? we often turn to these things to help us manage something much deeper, an emotional pain, mental overwhelm. And rather than judging, let's be kind to one another and accept that, these could be causes of fatigue. And the fix isn't you're naughty, stop drinking alcohol. The fix is trying to deal with the deep down emotional stuff, because then you won't need to use alcohol anymore. And that will also help with the tiredness. You see how that works? Moving on, it could be, and I certainly find this with a lot of my clients, that your fatigue is actually part of a much more complex condition. And I'm thinking of chronic fatigue syndrome or ME, whatever you call it, whatever you want to call it, I should say. Long COVID, fibromyalgia, hypermobility or hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. There are more, I'm sure, that I can't think of off the top of my head, but those are the ones that are coming to mind. They all cause fatigue. Fibromyalgia causes fatigue, folks. And I know there are a lot of doctors out there that are like, those conditions aren't real conditions. Those doctors are dicks, because of course they're real conditions. They're complex. It's not necessarily a quick fix, but they very much exist. So they could be causing your fatigue as well. Wasn't that a long list? 11 minutes already, and I've just done the list, see? Problem is, doctors do not handle fatigue well. Am I right? Is that your experience? It's certainly my experience. They often have the kind of shut up and get on with it type of attitude, which, to be fair to doctors, we are very fatigued too. So, and that's not an excuse, by the way, but it is a reason why we're a bit like, I'm tired too, so what? No, that's not how it should go at all. And so that's why I'm doing this masterclass, because I think a lot of you are fatigued and a lot of you are not getting the treatment that you deserve and that you need, especially in this day and age. So here's what we're going to cover in this wonderful masterclass. The first and most important bit is we're going to cover how to get doctors to take you seriously. Because, like I said, there's a whole host of reasons why you could be experiencing fatigue, and oftentimes it's more than one. And sometimes, there are some things that perhaps you can do by yourself, like, for example, helping yourself to get better rest, or addressing your sleep patterns, etc., etc. Maybe you can do that without a doctor. But there's also things that you might need a doctor for, like a blood test or a chest x-ray or an EKG or something like that. So, you need to sometimes go and see a doctor. And I would like to remind you that my masterclasses are not supposed to be a substitute for going to see your own health professional, right? Like, I'm just giving general advice, not like one-to-one advice. So chances are you're going to need to see a doctor. So I'm going to help you to get your doctors to take you seriously, to ensure that nothing's being missed, because that's the big worry. Like, am I tired just because I'm not getting enough sleep, or am I tired because something else is going on? So really important. I'm going to cover why weight loss makes it worse, because it does. Weight loss is not the thing to do when you're feeling fatigued, because weight loss, above all things, causes fatigue. So why would you do something that's going to make you feel more fatigued if you're already fatigued? And that doesn't make sense, right? And it doesn't help in any way. And so we'll talk about how we avoid the weight loss talk altogether, how we, ensure that we're not stigmatized when we go to see the doctor. No, we're not doing that. Thanks very much. That's that's last century medicine. We've moved on, people. So we'll be talking about how to avoid that conversation. Just avoid it altogether. Like, just not going to happen. And we'll talk about how to manage fatigue in a weight neutral, supportive, and validating way. That's what we're going to cover in the masterclass. As usual, it'll be an hour long, roughly. Sometimes I'll overrun. What can I say? I'm a doctor, it happens. You get to ask me questions for the most of it. The majority of it, I will do a little bit of talking at the beginning, maybe an introduction similar to this, but because you've managed to watch this already, we won't have to go over this again, which is exciting. So you'll get the masterclass, which is on Tuesday the 3rd of September at 2 p.m. UK time, but don't worry if you're not going to make it. It's fine, just watch the replay. You will have access to the replay for the rest of your life. Well, as long as it's up on Thinkific. I mean, I can't promise you I'll be here for the rest of your life, but you know what I mean. You'll have unlimited access to the replay. You also get an amazing PDF workbook, which I created, and it's fantastic. It's full of actually genuinely useful things, like a symptom checker. So you can look and see if there are any symptoms that could be causing, that are important to think about. We'll talk about how to create your own differential diagnosis. Do you know what a differential diagnosis is? That's what we doctors do when we're thinking of all the different causes of your fatigue, and you get to do your own. And yours is probably better than your doctor's, because nobody knows your body better than you do. So you'll probably come up with a better one. I'm going to teach you how to create one and how to ensure that your doctor works off your differential diagnosis. They are free to add things to it, but they have to make sure that yours is on there. Now, there might be things they can rule out very simply. That's the whole point of a differential diagnosis. But I'm going to teach you how to write one. I'm going to teach you how to create your own management plan. Yes, your own management plan. This is how we get around the difficult conversations with doctors. We walk in there with our own management plan, and then we're like, this is my management plan. I expect you to do all of this. And to be honest, as a lazy doctor, I quite like it when people do this to me. They're like, this is what I want. I'm like, oh, thank God, now I don't have to figure out what you want. I can just do it, and it's much easier. So that's what we'll do. You get your own, I teach you how to write a script, because I'm a big believer of taking a script with you to the doctor, reading out from your script, just reading it like this. And you get your own, I've done a specific one for fatigue, and you can just, add and subtract and copy and paste and write your own. It's that easy. Right, I think I've talked for long enough. So yes, are you interested in this masterclass? I hope so. You got this bit for free, but the rest you have to pay for. You can sign up to this masterclass just on its own, or you can sign up to a package where basically it's like a monthly membership. You pay £25 a month, and then you get access to all of the masterclasses that have gone on in the past, plus each masterclass per month, which works out much cheaper than buying them individually. So without further ado, I see you on Tuesday the 3rd of September, and if you can't make it, don't worry about it. You can just watch the replay once it's over. Press stop. There we go, here it is.